Logically, when you're drowning in tasks you should be doing, cutting sleep to get more done feels smart. I mean, doesn't sacrificing sleep for just one more hour of productivity feel like the rational move when you're already overwhelmed? But for ADHD brains, it's the quickest way to sabotage the three personal resources we actually have: time, attention, and energy. Today, I'm going to show you why protecting sleep is the highest ROI productivity move an ADHD person can make. We're flipping the script on research-backed reset that prioritizes outcomes over preferences, including some stupidly simple rules such as feet on the floor that can actually work. Hey, I'm Treas with LifeSketch Counseling and Coaching. We help adults with ADHD build happy, healthy, wealthy lives. And if you've ever bargained with your alarm like it's a shady used car salesman, then this video is for you. We're talking about why trading sleep for time is a losing bet for ADHD, and 3 key recommendations to anchor your rhythms without hating your life. But if we're chasing real productivity outcomes, like actually finishing projects instead of starting 12 new ones, we can't ignore the data. ADHD isn't just about managing time. It's about juggling those 3 resources. Time, our hours that we have. Attention, how many of those hours our brain can actually show up for. And energy, how much fuel we have when it does. A 2022 study in neuropsychology hammered this home. Just 90 minutes less sleep tanks ADHD adults' working memory by 38%, processing speed by 29%, and emotional regulation by over 50%. You're not gaining time. You're dividing your attention and your energy into a useless sludge. Let's just do some quick math. Picture this. You normally have about 4 decent focus hours a day of attention. But it's crunch time, so you pull an all-nighter till about 4 a.m. and then you sleep till about 10. That's 6 hours of sleep with 0 extra time gained. Because a 2001 study showed that delayed sleep zaps 40 to 60% of the next day's executive function in the ADHD brain. Those 4 focused hours now may be an hour and a half. You turned high-octane productivity into a sad, sputtering engine. You literally traded quality for quantity, and you lost both. Now let's look at some evidence-based approaches for fixing your sleep. Recommendation 1 is anchor your circadian rhythms. My number 1 non-negotiable sleep-changing rule: when your alarm goes off, put your feet on the floor within 60 seconds. No snooze, no phone, no 5 more minutes. Do this 6 days a week. Give yourself a grace for some sanity. But stick it out for 14 to 21 days and your rhythms will start adjusting naturally. And so why does this work for ADHD brains? Snoozing fragments your sleep and tanks your morning cortisol, making you feel more groggy for hours. And that immediate movement triggers dopamine and neuroepinephrine faster than any stimulant. A 2023 study from the University of California found that consistent wake times, even without earlier bedtimes, improved ADHD symptom severity by 25% in just 2 weeks. And here's the thing, nobody is shaming you for staying up till 2 a.m. I actually care less about what time that is. Sleep from 2 to noon if able, as long as it's consistent. Recommendation 2 is utilize bookend routines. So let's master your bookends. This is the exact repeatable wake up and wind down sequences that sandwich your day. These aren't another rigid timetable that your brain is going to rebel against in just 3 days. They're predictable processes, like a favorite playlist you hit play on every single time. And so why does this matter so much for adult ADHD? Because our executive function muscle is atrophied and gets tired fast. If the first 30 minutes and last 90 minutes are just in complete and utter chaos, then you've already spent half of your daily focus budget before the real day even starts. And then you wonder why you're tired by 3 p.m. A 2022 study in sleep medicine found that adults with ADHD who use consistent morning and evening routines improved next day attention by 34% and cut daytime fatigue by almost 40%. That's a bigger boost than most people get from an extra hour of sleep. In a real world example, I coached a guy whose quick breakfast turned into 25 to 30 minutes regularly, where he would just doom scroll the news every morning. And he felt rushed and guilty all day. We tracked it for a few days and we saw a pattern, and he swapped it out for just a 10-minute timer. Just like 2 songs on your playlist, which is the same breakfast. It was the same routine of actually looking at the news, but he reclaimed his time and the guilt was gone. And his brain actually started the workday with dopamine instead of that dread. So for your homework, it's simple and can actually be kind of fun. For the first few days, I just want you to track what your current Bookend routines are. What do you actually do from your alarm to getting out the door, or from dinner to your lights out? And then I want you to start to design what your ideal Bookend routine would actually be. Reflect on what you wish that you could do every day that would make your life so much better. Literally write it out, action by action, right? I wake up, I put my feet on the floor, I go pee, I drink a 32 ounce of water, I hop in the shower, put clothes on, you get it. Bonus points if you can layer this with sleep hygiene best practices, like getting early morning sunlight to spike cortisol, or reducing evening stimuli. Dim your lights, no screens, cold room, really whatever's going to work for you. Now, if you do that same sequence every day and day in and day out, your ADHD brain stops treating bedtime like a pop quiz and mornings like a hostage. It just knows. It knows what's coming up next, and that predictivity is pure gold for us. The magic is in consistency. Same steps every time so your brain learns that this means rest. And studies from the Journal of Sleep Research show routine predictability cuts bedtime rumination by up to 50%. Recommendation 3, manage your ADHD brain and mental health. So now it's finally time to tame that mental health chaos that keeps you avoiding bedtime in the first place. As my years as a coach and in clinical mental health, I've seen how the day's busyness unleashes the negative thoughts, the worries and regrets right when we're trying to sleep, turning bedtime into enemy territory. A mental health tip is to keep a journal by your bed, where you can start to dump those negative intrusive thoughts, those to-dos or regrets on paper, and you can trust that they'll actually be there in the morning. Spoiler alert, they often usually look way less scary than in the morning too. This is exceptionally helpful if you struggle with rumination. Another tip is to just make yourself bored by grabbing a physical paper book under low red light. And you're going to read until that boredom hits and your eyes start to droop. Stay off devices for at least an hour. And for extra credit, try out a sleep meditation protocol. There's ADHD friendly apps that can guide your racing mind without it actually feeling like homework. This isn't about perfection. It's empathy for our brains. Remember, we're focusing on productivity, not our preferences. You don't have to become a morning person. Some of us are never going to love the sunrise. And honestly, that's fine. But stop treating sleep like it's a reward you earn after being productive. It's the foundation that supercharges your attention and your energy. And if you're in, comment with your committed feet on the floor wake up time. I'll be reading and rooting for you. And you've got this. Sweet dreams, or at least better ones. See you next time.